Gospel reading this morning comes from the Gospel according to Luke, and is found in the 3rd chapter, verses 15 through 17, and then 21 through 22. The reading opens with questions about the identity of the Messiah. John the Baptist insists that he is not the Messiah. Instead, he points ahead to one who is coming. Whether the voice of God was heard by all or only by Jesus, God settles the matter. Jesus is God's beloved Son. A reading from the Gospel according to Luke. As the people were filled with expectation and all were questioning in their hearts concerning John, whether he might be the Messiah, John answered all of them, saying, I baptize you with water, but one who is more powerful than I is coming. I am not worthy to untie the thong of his sandals. He will baptize you with the Holy Spirit and fire. His winnowing fork is in his hand to clear his threshing floor and to gather the wheat into his granary, but the chaff he will burn with unquenchable fire. Now, when all the people were baptized, and when Jesus also had been baptized and was praying, the heavens opened, and the Holy Spirit descended upon him in bodily form like a dove, and a voice came from heaven, You are my Son, the beloved. With you I am well pleased. This is the gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Christ. How is 2016 going for you? Too soon to tell? You already broke in all of your New Year's resolutions? I don't know about you, but as 2015 came to an end, I saw a lot of publications telling me about the most read stories of 2015. I guess if I missed them, I was supposed to catch up and read them now. What if I was interested in the least read stories? Anyway, there were other signs of the transition from 2015 to 2016. Among those reminders were lists of those who had died in 2015, reminders of those we had lost. Within the church, we tend to keep time differently. We chronicle those who have died the previous year every year on that first Sunday of November. We celebrate All Saints. It was actually last November, early in the month, when René Girard died. Girard had come to the United States from France and taught at several different universities until he began teaching at Stanford in 1981, where he would teach until his retirement in 1995. If you are unfamiliar with his work, if you are not a part of the Facebook group René Girard Changed My Life, let me give you a crash course on Girardian theory. Girard argued that society can be understood through mimetic theory. Now, mimesis is the Greek word from which we get the word mimic, and it means to imitate. Girard kept using the Greek original word to parse out and define a very unique definition that mimicry or imitation might not convey, so he speaks of mimetic theory. The theory in its most simple form is that we want what others have. Here we would not be far off to say that Girard made a career out of developing a theory that explained the suburban desire to keep up with the Joneses. We could also talk about those biblical proscriptions against coveting what your neighbor has. Girard argued that this mimetic desire leads to social disruption. When I want what you have and you want what I have, society disintegrates until we are left fighting for the conch and all seeking to be the lord of the flies. In the midst of this, Girard argues that we find unity by finding a common victim, a scapegoat. We punish this victim, turn our violence on this victim, collective or singular, and in so doing restore unity and order through this violence act. Take a bunch of strangers, put them in the same uniform, tell them that those people wearing different uniforms are their enemy, whether it's a baseball field, a football field, or a combat field. There is unity among that group in the shared enemy. Girard argues that many religious myths and rituals reenact a moment of historical violence when the scapegoat was identified and unity was restored. And thus, these religious acts sustain and extend the power of that primal act of violence. For those who read Girard, his theories can become all-encompassing. Theory seems to encompass everything and explain every event, and they will explain how everything is a source of mimetic design. I don't know. I think Girard is incredibly brilliant, and as we reflect on his death, I am grateful for what he was able to see and articulate. I'm not going to join any group centered around Girard's theory, whether a social media one or a real one, just yet. Sunday morning, like drizzle outside, there's a wild card playoff today. Why are we talking about Girard? Why not? There are plenty of memorials on the internet that are both more informed and more poignant than our brief remarks here today. And there are better summaries of mimetic theory than the one I'm giving you. As we gathered on this Sunday, we're invited to tell the story of the baptism of Jesus. We are invited to read from the prophet Isaiah. We're supposed to read about how God will be with us as we pass through the waters. We're supposed to remember the Exodus from Egypt. We're supposed to remember the Jordan River. We're supposed to remember the return from exile. But no sooner do we read about coming through the water and the flame untouched, when we are told that Egypt has been given as our ransom. Cush, or Ethiopia, and Seba have been given in our place. Since we are honored and we have been loved, others are given in our place. Other people are exchanged for our lives. For anyone familiar with Girard, even if you have only just learned his name and his theories, it immediately seems pretty relevant. Does there have to be a sacrifice? Why do others have to be given in our place? We get it. The prophet's trying to tell us that Israel is special. Israel is chosen. Does that mean that for them to be chosen, others have to be rejected? Why does one have to be given as a ransom for another? Why does the liberation of one necessitate the oppression of another? Can't we liberate all? I'm not sure it's possible to answer the question. However, by living into the question in a certain way, we may find that we are able to find a tentative answer that guides our path. 2 months before his death in January of 1881, at the age of 59, Dostoevsky finished publishing The Brothers Karamazov. The book is a classic in literature, a key touchstone for many thinkers. It tells the stories of 3 brothers, Dmitri is the oldest and is born to one mother. Ivan and Alexei are the younger two, born to a different mother. All are abandoned by their father and raised as orphans. The novel begins as the family is reunited, father, 3 sons. We're going to enter the novel just briefly this morning as Ivan and Alexei, who's also called Alyosha, are getting acquainted. The brothers at this point are at least types. Alyosha is a believer and has in fact recently entered the monastery. Ivan is an atheist. Faith and atheism are always complex. The beauty of the novel is Dostoevsky's subtle and nuanced portraits of the brothers. Here we enter into the dialogue, listening to Ivan. He starts out talking about that moment in eternity when all is united and glorifies God. I want to see with my own eyes the hind lie down with the lion, and the victim rise up and embrace his murderer. I want to be there when everybody suddenly understands what it has all been for. All the religions of the world are built on this longing, and I am a believer. But then there are the children. What am I to do about them? That is the question I cannot answer. If all must suffer to pay for the eternal harmony, what have children to do with it? Tell me, please. It's beyond all comprehension. I understand, of course, what an upheaval of the universe it will be when everything in heaven and on earth bends in one hymn of praise, and everything that lives and has lived cries aloud, Thou art just, O Lord, for thy ways are revealed. But what pulls me up here is that I can't accept the harmony. Too high a price is asked for harmony. It's beyond our means to pay so much to enter on it. And so I hasten to give back my entrance ticket. And if I'm an honest man, I'm bound to give it back as soon as possible. It's not God that I don't accept, Alyosha. Only I most respectfully return him the ticket. That's rebellion, murmured Alyosha, looking down. Rebellion? I'm sorry you call it that, said Ivan earnestly. One can hardly live in rebellion, and I want to live. Tell me yourself. I challenge you. Answer. Imagine that you are creating a fabric of human destiny, with the object of making men happy in the end, giving them peace and rest at last. Well, that it was essential and inevitable to torture to death only one tiny creature, an innocent child, for instance, and to found that edifice on its unavenged tears. Would you consent to be the architect on those conditions? Tell me, and tell the truth. No, I would not consent, said Alyosha, softly. Isn't that how we all reply? Do we not all refuse to be architects under those conditions? If we celebrate Jesus, who was baptized in the water, for what he taught us about who God was, and how if we, as parents, would not give a stone to a child who asked for bread. And how much more compassionate, more loving is the Creator of all humanity. And we should not believe for one moment that this God has agreed to be such an architect either. There does not have to be any sacrifice. Jesus is proclaimed to be the beloved Son. This is not a choosing that excludes others. In fact, in Jesus we are all redeemed, made to be sons and daughters, called beloved. Love for one, through one, becomes love for all. And although all are created in the holy image, although all are children of their Creator, in Jesus we encounter the message underlined and emphasized. We knew we were all God's children. Jesus shows us we are all beloved children. From the Hunger Games to Shirley Jackson's The Lottery, we are confronted again and again with images of sacrifice. One is taken so that others may live. These fictions remind us of the truth we repress and deny in our daily lives. Tributes are required to maintain the harmony. We live in a society that is built on sacrifice, as we often force others to bear the cost of the construction of our world. They are crushed beneath the wheels of progress. All too often, those who rise to the top do so by sacrificing those below them. René Girard asked us to imagine a God who does not smile on sacrifice. Jesus enters our sacrificial economy in order to end it. Dostoevsky confronts us with the way in which we have accepted a system of sacrifice, in the words of the protest atheism, that pushes us to acknowledge what we have all too often accepted through an uncritical repetition of the teaching of our faith traditions. None of this alleviates the tension confronting us in the prophet's words. We are still confronted with the logic of a sacrificial system. The question is open and unanswered. All I can say is that maybe it helps when we read and where we read. So I read the prophet as I wade in the water with Jesus. I hear the prophetic words and the echo of the words from heaven. I think about what it means to be beloved. That loving one does not mean hating another. I want to remind our political leaders that Egypt does not have to be given as our ransom. And Cush and Seba do not have to be given in our place. There is another way. You might miss it if you read the prophet in the wrong way, at the wrong place, or in the wrong time. But if you read the prophet in the water, when the Spirit descends and the voice of God speaks to the child of God, then maybe you too will see that it does not have to be this way. I want to be an architect of that